And we are joined on the Business Breakfast now by a man who's making it a bit of a mission to cut out unnecessary words, possibly something that David and I could learn from here on the Business Breakfast. Khaled Al-Maskari is joining us in the studio this morning. By day, he is a training specialist with the Statistics Centre in Abu Dhabi. But when he's not, he is now an author. He's written a practical guide to business writing, which David and I now have a copy in front of us. It's a book designed to cut some of the waffle out of business communications. Khaled, good morning and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Why did you feel so moved to write a book about this subject? What drove you here?
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity this morning to talk about one of the most important aspects of business communication in corporate world. Nowadays, business communication is really needed for any organization to enhance their employees' productivity and credibility, either internal or external stakeholder. I would like also to thank my parents, my families, and the leadership of this beloved country for giving us the opportunity to pursue our education. And this is really a gift I can return back to my beloved country. Refer to your question, what really motivated me to write this book? Based on my experience in oil and gas industry, before I joined the center, I noticed that fresh graduate and even existing employees working in my organization lack ability to write effective messages with clarity, concise, and purpose. And this really motivated me to see what the reason behind this lack of business writing style. And then I took the initiative to come up with this book, which is very handy book and very practical, and to give the reader a sort of a principle guideline whereby he can utilize it on daily basis to enhance his or her business writing style.
What do we usually get wrong here? What are the biggest offences in the UAE when it comes to business communications?
Yeah, here in this region, you can notice that we have so many nationality working in one organization, and everybody tend to express himself in a different writing context. So business writing style is I feel this is the area where we need to focus on in this region. And I tend also to focus on the writing style and also the cultural aspect of this region. So the nationalities, either Arab or expatriate, they know exactly how to communicate well in this business environment setting.
I have to say, I've been flipping through the book and I think it's absolutely brilliant. I'll just give some examples, and it goes through different things and different areas where you should improve. Like, rather than negative sentences, use positive sentences, use the active voice rather than the passive voice. But the funny, but I think very valuable ones are the long and the short. So I'll just give a couple of examples for taste. Let me know as to whether or not we can start drilling in view of the fact that the problem has not been fixed at the present time. That's the long version. And the short version is, since the problem has not been fixed, let me know whether or not we can start drilling. I mean, it's just an example. And there are lots of those. And I think it's very true. Do you think that actually what the issue is that it's a cultural one? So I'm using a lot of words right now, and that's because I'm English, and English people tend to use a lot of words. And in this environment, you have Indian people who use a different form of English, also quite a verbose one. And then you have people whose language is not their own. And therefore they like things communicated very simply, because they don't get all of the what actually are the polite parts of the speech. So what we're looking for in the UAE is to pare it down to actually the fundamental message. Do you think that's the reason behind this book?
The reason behind this book is to give the readers a sort of a practical guide whereby they can use it on daily basis. For instance, I have one chapter in my book called Useful Business Phrases, and those phrases will let the reader use them on daily basis, like how to open your document, how to request, how to do apologies, how to congratulate, how to offer condolences, how to close a document. Those things are very essential in today's business. And I've seen even senior managers sometimes they have difficulty whereby to open the document and what exactly the message he would like to convey to his or her employees.
I guess what it is you give people a common language and a common way of saying things that cuts across the kind of the cultural boundaries that exist here. The only thing I would possibly say, reading some of the examples, is that they could potentially be rude, for example. I mean, if you cut it right down to the bare minimum, without introducing some of the niceties, maybe for some cultures they would consider that rude. So, I mean, I don't know whether in Arabic, for example, if you wrote the same book in Arabic and you cut out all of the polite part of the speech and you just left the basic message, would that work?
Well, in Arabic context, maybe it's quite different from in English languages. But the concept that I would like to convey in this book, that there are three main things we'd like people before starting their email or document. That is the purpose, the reader, and the content. So before starting my memo or email, I need to know what is my purpose of this particular email, and who is my reader, and what the content that I should use. Maybe my manager is not aware about those abbreviation, so I'd rather use this. I call it in my book the PRC, the purpose, reader, and content, and those are interdependent. You cannot only using the purpose and also ignoring the what they call it the content of your memo. So it's all independent, interdependent, come to each others.
Well, English isn't your first language. It's not your mother tongue, obviously. Arabic is. Did that make it difficult writing a book about how to write business English?
Well, it is very, very challenging indeed. My native is Arabic, and for me this is not really an easy task, especially in this subject, business communication. What prompted me to write this book, that because I got the talent on, especially in this field, business writing style, and I'm very proud nowadays that this book has been accomplished after hard work of almost 3 years. So simply, it's not an easy task. But at the end of the day, when you have the desire and you have the interest to accomplish something, I think you should have not put any sort of barrier to accomplishing your task. And I'm very inspired about writing this book.
So Khalid, you were saying you spent 3 years writing this book. How did you then go about getting it published? Did you approach publishers? What happened?
Yeah, I approached some publisher here in this region, and we are about to sign the agreement. I signed from my side in 2007. And what really happened at that time, due to financial crisis, the publisher regret to inform me that we wouldn't be able to publish your book. And then I told them, okay, what is the optional to get this book published? They told me you have two options: either you're looking for a sponsor, or you have to do it by your own. Looking for a sponsor at that time, especially financial crisis, I think is not to be the easy way where people they can sponsor you, and nobody knows about the book yet, and nobody knows about me myself. So I took the other option, that I have to do it by myself. I know it's not easy to have the book published by yourself. It is really a challenging task for me. I need to look for a designer, cover page, looking for proofreader, and so forth. So it's quite expensive. But saying, I don't want this thing letting me down. I need to look forward. So I had a complete team working with me over the last maybe 6 months in order to get this book published. And you can notice also about the size of the book and the design of the book. Is really impressing, because we put so many effort in the book, and we'd like to have the book which really reflect the UAE national, and also the reflecting that this book is locally produced, yet internationally recognized.
How much money would you estimate it has cost you to get the book published?
Well, do you want me to say it on a live, or maybe it's quite expensive? It's more than maybe let's say above 20,000.
Above 20,000 dirhams.
Yes.
And how many copies have you managed to sell so far?
So far, I have managed almost 1,000 books.
Almost 1,000 books.
Yeah.
And
not only in UAE, across GCC country.
And
also.
So have you almost made your investment already?
Yes.
You have. Great.
Yes, it's paid off. It's paid off. But it's not easy to promote this local book. I tend to use social networking a lot, spending maybe at least on daily basis 2 hours to promote it through social networking like a Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and so forth.
To me, this looks like the kind of book that big corporates or even middle-sized corporates would actually buy to give to new employees when they start. It seems to be a really good basic introduction to how you should communicate within your organisation. Have you had any interest from the companies within the GCC for this book?
Well, I have received so many requests in this region, especially particularly UAE and other countries in GCC, requesting a book for review. And in fact, the book has been reviewed online by Dr. Connie, assistant professor from Zayed University. And I'm very glad to inform you that almost 27,000 have already read that review online. And this is really having credibility that this book is really an excellent book for a fresh graduate and also existing employees whom they wish to improve their business writing style. My book is different from other books on the market because I tend heavily focusing on writing style. This book is not a grammar book. If somebody like a grammar, this is not a book to refer to. This book's designed for fresh graduate who have a good command of English, and also employees who wish to improve their writing ability in today's business.
Now, we've had a couple of people text in to ask where they can buy the book here in Dubai. I understand that you do have it in most of the major bookstores,
yes,
in Magrudi's, in Virgin,
Bookstore,
and the rest
Konya,
of it. Kinyo Konya, that's the big
yes,
one, the top of the big Dubai
Mall.
Mall.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is widely available. How easy was it if you didn't have one of the big local publishers behind you? How easy or how hard was it to get your book into those bookstores?
Well, it's not easy because you need first of all to communicate with the managers of that bookstore, and you need to send an email. And sometimes they say we need to have the book to be reviewed by our English faculty or the department staff there in their particular bookstore. But eventually it took time. But I thank God that. Things are moving easily since they look at the book, how it looked like, the design, the content. So they say like they get buy-in of having these books displayed on their outlet.
Well, I guess there probably was a little bit of initial scepticism when you gave them a call for the first time and said, "Hi, I'm a UAE national,
True.
And I've written a book on how to write good business English." I guess I guess what sold it for you into these outlets was actually the book itself.
Well, they were a little bit surprised that UAE National wrote a book on English, on business English. I know it's like amazing that wow, and UAE National writing a book on English. So there's like they got surprised, but at the end of the day, they accept the idea of having this book to be displayed on their bookstore. So at the beginning, I can say yes. And local guy wrote a book in English. It's something uncommon in this region, because majority of the books available in UAE bookstore all written by gurus, European, Australian, Canadian. But this is the only book. You can see it if you go to Dubai Mall. You can see it. All the books beside my book is only UAE national book on among the all gurus on business communication, and this is something really I'm really proud of.
Well, I understand you're now moving beyond the bookstore. You're looking at iPad apps. You're looking at the Apple Store. Tell us what you're doing now.
Okay, as you can see nowadays, new generation they love to have the iPad, iPhone. So the technology is also improving nowadays, whereby you can have these books access through online. I already had intention to have these books available online soon by a UK company based in London called YUDU. And we are in the processing of now transforming this book from hardcopy format to illustrative book called iBook, and soon will be available online through Apple Store. So those people who have iPad or iPhone, easily they can download it online.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd just like to make the final point. I think the reason why, looking at the book, it really works is precisely almost because you're not an English native speaker.
True.
Because you don't come with any preconceived notion of how to write quotes unquotes the Queen's English or good English. So it is just stripped down to really, really good business English. I guess there's no real question there, other than the fact that I think what makes it a success, and I think it is a really valuable book, is just because of the fact that English is not your native language, which is an unusual thing to say.
Well, I understand, Khaled, before we let you go, that you have an idea for another book, a second in this series. What can you tell us about what's next?
Yeah, see the demands in this region that receive so many requests that the CVs is not really reflecting the expertise of the individual. Therefore, I'm looking forward to produce another book called A Practical Guide to CV Writing, so that those who wish to have a proper CV that can address their real expertise could benefit from this book.
Khaled Al-Maskari, the author of A Practical Guide to Business Writing, which is in bookstores across the UAE at the moment. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.